This movie is the Spring Breakers and Tree of Life mashup I didn't know I needed.
Which is funny because
I thought about Spring Breakers like 5 times while I thought
about
this.
Tree of Life over and over.
I would tell you that
he was an intern for Terrence Malick.
On Tree of Life. That was on my notes. So I would,
Shults.
had I seen this, I'd never fucking heard this movie.
Yeah.
It turns out this guy made a movie called It Comes at Night that I've been trying to pick.
I love that movie.
Okay, well, it's only on Showtime, otherwise I would have picked it. But I fucking love this movie. If I had I seen it at the time, I definitely would have been in my top 3 or 4 of 2019. When you get to the end and the Radiohead, when they start playing Radiohead,
they play the entirety of True Love Waits for some fucking reason.
Dude, the music,
one of the greatest Radiohead
needle drops in this movie are fucking incredible.
They are.
I woke my wife up because I was sobbing too loud.
Yep. Oh my. Okay, I think
this
you
movie
win.
made me cry.
This
movie,
I was.
This movie made me cry multiple times
at the end of this fucking movie.
Yeah,
I think it is beautifully done. I don't know how. I mean, maybe he found it in the editing room because it's got that Terrence Malick, just sort of like this weird voyeuristic. The camera's like constantly running with these people. I think the way that it's halfway.
Oh, yeah, how about that 360 shit inside cars that he does?
That stuff, but the fact when they go from the boy's story to the girl story,
it's 2 movies in one.
It's kind of 2 movies, but then they find a way to get closure at the end. And that the thing with his dad in the hospital, and I know, you guys all know, like I lost my dad this last year and I wasn't able to go to the hospital and have that moment with him. But like this movie just fucked me up. And I thought it was really well done. It's beautifully shot. The music was great, and the acting is fantastic. The girl,
the acting is
from Lost in Space. That's the only other thing I think I've ever seen her in. I thought it was stellar.
Well, not to get
the Lost in Space series or the old movie?
Lost in Space series.
Oh, okay.
The older daughter, I think.
The one we're all amazed is still on television.
I'll let other people talk, but Chris, I want to touch upon you losing your dad really quick because you all know that I lost my mom a couple months ago, and watching this again, the cancer, the dad when he went there, and that hit me in a different way too, and I was sobbing. And
I lost my brother the same year that I saw Tree of Life, and I had a similar reaction. This is one of those movies I think that if you come into it with anything, it's going to kind of throw it back at you. And so if you don't have anything going on, maybe you won't feel the same way. But this one for sure.
Well, does that Terrence Malick fly in the wall thing where you're watching this life unfold?
Yes.
And you know that you're helpless to stop, to kind of, you're watching these mistakes happen. You can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
But you know that this is going to have a rather monumental effect on everybody else in the film. It's just, it was Tree of Life in some ways done right. In terms of
you know what I found interesting.
There were no dinosaurs in this film, as far as I can tell.
Both of the dads and these two, Brad Pitt and this guy.
It could have used a dinosaur too.
Yeah. No, but Brad Pitt in Tree of Life and the dad in this,
it gets close. It has manatees.
They both think they're doing the right thing.
That's true.
They're fucking mammals.
And the sea cows or whatever those were.
These dads are both trying to be the best dads they know how to be in that moment. And
they were
doing the right thing. Like this is all they think they're doing the right thing in that moment.
Well, we can open it up, but I mean, we've touched a little bit. I think the performances in this are just off the charts.
Incredible.
But we talked about like Sterling, whatever his name, the dad.
Sterling K. Brown.
Holy shit. Anyway.
Yeah, he thinks he's trying. Like
he seems so young for acting like an old fart to me.
Also, this has got that wonderful effect where you're following the son, right? I can't remember his name, but
Tyler,
yeah. And you're watching him just basically spin out. This is always, he's got his life at the end of a string, and then he injures himself, and then his girlfriend's pregnant, and nothing goes his way, and it's almost beyond his control. And things get worse and worse until he finally comes to his denouement, right? At the end. But then the film's only half over.
Right.
And then where do you go? And it picks up this beautiful thread.
Well, you send him off to prison.
I know.
That's the thing. That's the thing is like I watched this film in the theater knowing
him.
No, but the thing is, it's like a full reset almost.
If you know nothing about this movie going in,
I knew nothing about this film.
It's the best experience because I knew nothing either. And you're exactly right, Scott. When his trajectory came to like the courtroom and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And then they pivot to the sister. I was like, oh, this is special. This is something.
Yeah, it is. It is. It was really a neat choice. You know what I mean? It was. It was. They weren't
again,
gonna
it's
try to
not for
like
everyone.
spring
It's
them or
not for
something.
everyone.
They just went ahead and talked about how this preamble affects how she is going to love and how she's going to take life.
Absolutely.
And it was just so wonderful.
Yeah.
You could hardly call it a preamble. It's half the movie.
I know, but the thing is,
No,
it was
he's
a
talking
setup
about the
for the
setup.
second
It's a
half of the
setup.
film. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does set up the second half of the film, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I thought that was one of the most effective things in it, is the way that she was clearly, like the whole family, trying to cope with this incredibly tragic thing that had happened to them.
Yeah.
With an asshole of a brother.
Because of her asshole brother.
I'm very surprised it didn't change schools. That's kind of surprised me.
Yeah.
It's Florida. They're used to this shit.
Okay, there you go.
Florida man fights.
But yeah, I thought that was one of the most effective things. I liked the second half of the movie better than the first, and that was partly because of her and her performance, and the way the film handled sort of these flashbacks, where
she is more sympathetic than he
was. More sympathetic for sure. And it was handled well, showing these flashbacks to the room, the way they had that Jack and Jill bathroom, and it would just pan over to the door that she knew that was her brother's room on the other side. And just when she was thinking about her brother, they just showed the bathroom door.
Well, every time they would come through her window and come back.
Yeah.
Pan over,
well, I know I just have a younger sister, and the thing is that with that dynamic between the brother and sister in that is just, it just felt completely natural. It was just so well expressed. And there are parts of, he depended on her to kind of someone to talk to.
Well, how about that scene
she
where
depended on him?
How about that scene where he finally breaks down when he has that drunken night with his and his sister comes in the bathroom, and it's the first
what comforts him.
Yeah, like that was really special in terms of those two characters, because they never had, he's showing his weakness for the first time kind of in the picture, and especially to his little sister,
Yeah.
Now, mind you, I was during the bit where he crashes into that party where the girl's at near the middle of the film, and we get to the
one that's in 4:3,
the spring breakers / uncut gems color in that.
It's
just like, I get really excited when people start using LED light and UV light to light their things. The lighting in this was so natural. I don't think they put a single light at anybody in this entire movie.
Yeah.
How about when they were, and this is probably what
pixel vision.
This is what Chris was probably mentioning. Like, how about when they're in the sea though, and the camera is doing that? I'm out of the water, I'm in the water, and her nails are on his head, and they're glowing. They're just glowing.
I was trying to figure that out.
It was wonderful.
At first, I was like, "What is that?" Oh, it's her fingernails.
It's her fingernails.
Because it's the same color as the setting sun, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Well, that's the thing. That's beautiful.
And I think that's why I think like the colorist in this movie was just having a ball. Like, I think the colorist is like, oh yeah.
I think okay. This is probably time for me to say I feel like this movie was a little bit up its own ass on that regard, in that the camera work and the lighting and the color grading, it drew too much attention to itself for me.
I'm seconding that, John. I am seconding
that camera going around in circles. It was like, stop.
There were no scenes in this film where the film was not drawing attention to itself. There's none.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the story is quite meager, and it actually that movie pads itself out.
Well, I will say this:
visual effects.
No, I said this the first time I saw this. I said, "There's nothing new story-wise here that we haven't seen before."
Yeah.
Oh, it's
right.
But it's the way this filmmaker tells this story. It's the execution of it, I think, that raises it up to the level that it is.
All right.
And I'm not going to disagree that it's not flashy filmmaking. In some respects, it very much is. But I do think that the performances sort of almost even that out, in terms of, like, I was sucked in enough by everyone's performance and also we're filmmakers. Some of it, like, I love filmmaking that is, it draws attention to itself a little bit, but you can also see like the artistry in it or something.
Yeah,
Like
no, I'm not gonna argue. It's artistically. I'm gonna get to that in a second, but the performances were so good and so natural that you can forgive the artistic excesses in all
That's
ways.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, and okay, it's my turn. I need a minute. This is great. This film, you can get the mise en scène thing out if you want, but this is about
horn.
Aspect ratio is a very important.
I knew he was gonna fucking do this. I knew it was. No, he was masturbating to the fucking aspect ratio the same way that
I faded in the middle.
But this thing does it in a way that you don't even notice it almost.
No, you notice it. And the thing is,
but he was jerking off to it.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna let that go anyway.
Okay, Scott, keep going, Scott.
The point is,
we all have our jerk off point.
The thing is, there are films that change aspect ratio for no good reason, and there are films that do it for a good reason. And we're talking about internally, like picking an aspect ratio for a film is like wide is a spectacle, or square is I don't know what the fuck it is now, but like
intimate.
Yeah, but this film does it very interesting way. I actually have it in front of me. This film starts full frame 177, right?
Yep.
Like we're seeing. Then it moves on to
like
1.35 2.35 scope.
2.35.
So
I didn't even see that happen.
It's getting a little bit more intimate. It's widening out.
It does, yeah.
Then later on, it goes to, you never see this, 3-to-1.
Yep.
Never see that.
3-to-1 is an unusual aspect ratio, and you're down to like anamorphic, the widest lens you can get. So it's all him in it's all about the character and his narrowing view of the universe, his world. And at the end, you get to the narrowest one of all, 4-to-3, right?
Yeah.
And so the film's a square then. And in fact, the whole thing is lit by lights behind there. These big circles. Yeah. And so then it takes that and then it reverses it. It opens up, bing, bang, goes from this to 3-to-1, 2.35-to-1, full frame. Then it's just, it goes back to like, it's all about how these people's worlds are collapsing and how these people's worlds are expanding, shown with aspect ratio.
Yes.
It was extremely clever.
That's a good analysis.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm looking for that shit, so I'm going to see it. The only film I can think of was comparable is Galaxy Quest, where you're watching it in 185 and then they open up the universe as it goes to scope.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it only works in the theater, might I add.
When they go to space, it goes to scope.
First Man, when he steps off of
oh dude, I went to IMAX. Oh, that was dramatic.
That's a fucking cool movie too, by the way.
To IMAX, might I add.
They also did it in Budapest Hotel.
Oh, they did. Wes Anderson did it.
Why?
But it wasn't as motivated.
How was it motivated?
It wasn't motivated.
It wasn't motivated like this.
No.
Part of it
like
was
everything Wes Anderson is just motivated by
back
style.
To, Warsaw Pact.
Yeah. But
I think the first time I was aware of somebody doing this was the sequel to American Graffiti.
Oh, that is.
They did do it in that.
If I can find that,
which
film,
is a better movie
than
American Graffiti.
There are 4 aspect ratios.
I haven't seen it. I want to see it. I actually just know that they did that.
No, if I come around, I'll probably assign it because it's in 4 aspect ratios. And they're very important. Anyway, that was my favorite part of the film, and it actually I think made this story better, which is unusual. It wasn't just a gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
well,
moving on.
It
anything else?
Something because of that.
You know what the problem?
Story.
Do you know what the problem with buying a TV VCR combo is? They're not good at being TVs or being VCRs.
That's not a segue. But
yes, it is.
I know.
That's the problem. That's the problem with this movie. It's not good at being either one of these stories, and it doesn't have enough time for either one of the stories to get where they need to go. So the first one's too long, and the second one's too short.
Interesting.
No, first of all, the first one's too long because they never make you care about the girlfriend. They give her hardly anything to do except to exist. And in fact, the most emotional scene that she gets in the movie, she's not even in. It's entirely fucking text messages on a screen. Her most important scene, she doesn't even get to act in. Like, it's horribly depressing.
What did you think of that?
I think that is her character. I think her character is a shallow and I think that they depicted that.
How?
Oh,
How?
No.
She's
More
a
Sopranos.
bitch.
We have to go. Oh.
Oh, so that now we
No,
see he
no,
truly
and
is
Tad,
malicious.
no, Tad, in that scene, this is what I thought was really powerful and actually really depressing with the texting. Who were you sympathizing with?
Her.
Okay.
He's a piece of shit.
Tell me
he's an
why.
asshole.
Tell me
he's
why.
fucking terrible.
Yeah,
To
he's a
her.
piece of shit.
No,
He's
I
not.
thought
fucking
that
terrible.
also. I thought that she
He
was
doesn't.
also.
He's the
I
fucking
even
level-headed
sided
one.
with
He
his
doesn't
No,
want to
he's
be a
not. He's
teenage
not. Because
dad.
as soon as she says, I don't want to talk to you about it because I know you'll get upset. And he's like, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. And as soon as she starts to tell him what she's thinking, then he fucking flies off the handle.
He's
Same
not a
way he
piece of
did.
shit.
The same way he did in the
She
car.
is a piece of shit because she fucking. No one wants to be a teenage fucking parent. Come on, are you
But
fucking
don't
crazy?
you guys think that?
Well, then don't fuck people without wearing a condom.
Hold
There
on.
you go.
Also,
That's what we were saying at our house, Jim.
The whole thing about
Again.
pro-choice. The whole thing about pro-choice is that it's pro-choice.
Yeah.
She's making the choice in this situation that she wants to keep the kid.
Right.
Well, it is her
He-
body, so
it's
keep
her
the fucking
body.
kid.
It's absolutely her
That
choice.
whole scene is more an indictment on how couples communicate in the 21st century.
Yeah.
But
don't
I also
how
wanna
men-
say-
I don't, no, I
that
don't
was-
like. I
for
don't
me,
like how
that
men
was what
have a
that
choice
scene
in
was
this. I
about.
just don't like that.
that's the world, though.
No,
Like-
it's just like.
Yeah, we
how
all
many
just
times
fucking
do you see
accept
that
that.
in a movie
but
like
it's
this?
not not fair. That's not equality. That's not fucking equality. My body, my fucking choice. Yeah, okay, but
Well,
what
it
about?
is.
Yeah, but
her
that's
choice.
not equality.
I
But
think
she
there's
has to
something-
live with her consequences, just like
We've
he
moved
has to
beyond.
live with
We've
his.
moved beyond the scope of this film here.
Another thing is
The-
also, I think that the idea, the point is that this film was examining teenage thought processes and teenage
Oh,
life.
because that hasn't been done.
I know it. No, it's been done a lot. The thing is, it hasn't changed that much.
Yeah.
Teenagers don't think things through. Teenagers
Right,
make
but
these
the
bad decisions.
communication
And
is-
this film really is very honest. No, they're not trying to make these guys saints, not trying to make them evil, just showing that these kids are not complete adults yet. You know what I
The
mean?
only reason
Huh?
reason I agree with what Chris is saying in this situation is simply for the fact that if it wasn't a movie that was set in 2018 where they were having this argument via text message, then the two of them would be having the argument face to face or at least on the phone with one another,
Correct.
so you could hear her voice.
Correct.
phone.
Right.
Like
Correct.
the problem with that scene is that again it does not give me any sympathy for her character any more than what I can intuit out of what's being shown on screen.
But in this day and age,
Also, I want to say something else too about it stylistically, which is that I think sitting there and watching it on the phone screen sucked. Like Jared has made a movie, a short film that he made himself that did a better job of showing text message conversations than this movie did with the fucking
Well-
budget and like
Or the actually
I
the lack of
appreciate
text. It's actually about the lack of text messaging. But yes, I see your points.
no, I appreciate that compliment, but I will say that like it's sort of indicative though of the modern times in terms of how people communicate. Can you not say that?
yeah,
No,
but
that's
okay,
true.
but hold on. So I want to carry this forward because I have sort of a point that I'm making here.
Okay. go
When
ahead.
we get to the second half of the film, when we get to her story,
Right.
there is technology usage in the way that people interact with each other in the real world that I think is done really, 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 really well. The whole scene where she is looking at those photos on Instagram and she's scrolling the comments on Instagram. I paused the movie to read every one of the comments that was put onto those photos. And all of those are incredibly realistic things that people would say in this situation. All of
Oh yeah, I
like,
remember
there's-
that.
There's one where one of the girls commenting on her photo is like, they opened a new Taco Bell on the other side of town and it made me think of you.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that might be
that-
one of the reasons why you liked my movie, because every comment that was posted on the screen was a real comment that someone left on my fake. I said, I'm going to make a fake relationship status before I made the movie, and everyone can please leave a comment about
Yeah.
it. And those were the really included in my movie. Every single one was a real thing that someone said.
and then she's Instagram stalking him when she's waiting for their date.
Right.
And then she tells him that. And then he tells her that he tried to do that to her, but she doesn't have an Instagram.
Yeah.
And that's when you have that really great scene between the two of them where she's like, you know who my brother is, right? And he's
Right.
like,
He says,
yeah,
of course.
Well,
So
yeah,
what?
of course.
That was one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. I mean,
Yeah.
when Lucas Hedges comes into this movie and he's so
He's so shy.
awkward and
Awkward,
shy,
Yeah.
it's charming. It's really nice. And also there's a lot of sunshine. And after all these red and blue lights and really
all the hard edges
calibrated-
and artificiality in the first half of the film.
yes,
are
it was
answered-
like a breath of fresh air just to see
going
people
out,
walking
going
around
out
in the sun.
swamp and the manatees and all the nature
I
around
loved
them.
the back half of this
modes
film.
incredibly well.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I'm upset at the first half of this film is I feel like it robbed me of more of the back half of this film. like I wanted more of that story. I enjoyed them so much.
But
Right.
maybe you wouldn't appreciate that second half as much if you didn't have that first half.
But I think they could have shortened that.
It's a
It, it might be a proportion thing, huh,
Right.
Tad?
I think they could have shortened the first half.
It always comes down to like.
No,
I want them to take. It's a balance. It's a
I
balance.
want them to take half an hour from the first half of the movie and
and
give it to
to
the second half. Yeah.
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 No,
Same
I
length
don't
is
know.
fine. I just
think
want more of
it's
the
a
second half.
balance.
And you
I
can
think
do
it's a
that.
balance. And I think that there's something magical about the way this guy's camera moves around and the way he depicts. You know, I was in on the whole first half, like hook, line, and sinker in terms of just the acting and the story and the camera work, and then they do that switcheroo with the protagonist, and I just thought it was fucking astounding.
Then I wish it was 3 hours long so that we had an hour and a half of both characters. Like I just wanted more of her and him. Like
No.
that's what I wanted out of this. And
How about her scene with her dad?
She is more sympathetic.
No, running the long view. and this is
That scene with her with her dad fishing was a blessed relief because at least they were talking to each other.
this
And
scene,
they're-
this
And
movie,
that's
almost not
when
talking
the
past
dad.
it.
That's when the dad really came out.
Well, yeah, and he it was great
Well,
because he said, "I
except
shouldn't be
that's
putting this on you."
But
And
was
we
it-
go
was
like
it because
fathers
he-
and sons versus.
the thing is, he
fathers
was
and
having
daughters.
a moment.
Right.
He was like, "Oh my God, I'm so conflicted about my son and all," and then she talks past him about something else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But it was
There
such
was,
a. like,
the
I
sympathy
felt
was like
that scene.
a brief moment. The rest was her talking about her stuff. It was weird.
But I went back to that scene because I thought it was sort of like a master class in acting.
Mhm.
Like if you look at it from a filmmaker standpoint, John, or even an actor standpoint, you're watching that scene, father and daughter, and it's just masterfully done. Like the way their performances, what they're talking about. I got so emotional during that scene this time, and God,
It was
Did
a
it make you
relief.
wonder-
I'll tell you, it was a relief to me because I feel like this movie has this sort of syndrome that you see a lot in movies, which is sort of like the non-existent parents. It was like, why there's so many scenes where the kids have so much agency and they're off doing shit, and the parents have it's like they don't exist.
I know the trope you're talking about, and I think this movie defies that. And I especially loved. I mean, I
It
don't know
does
if
not
any-
defy it because she goes off on a multi-day road trip with Lucas Hedges, or Luke in the character is his character name, and
Yeah.
she could have perfectly well told her parents, "I'm going because my boyfriend's parents
I
dad
don't know
is
why- I don't know
dying,
why
and
they
I'm going
lied
on this
about
road
that.
trip."
Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
didn't tell them. She
I
didn't. She had
know.
no reason not to tell them where
I
she was
think you're
going.
right. I think you're right. I don't know why she didn't just tell them the truth there, but they
That
also
bugged the fuck out of me.
but they also answered that in
'Cause
texts. you know.
teenagers lie because they lie.
Yeah.
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 She didn't have any reason to lie.
But
No, but she's
kids lie
establishing-
all the time.
She's establishing her way in the world. That's what she
Right.
was doing. She was making her
I think
own
that, like,
path. You know,
Do you guys remember the scene? Like one of my favorite moments was, when he's gotten drunk in his bedroom and he comes downstairs and he steals the keys to his dad's truck and he's gonna leave, and the mom is like,
Oh.
"You've been drinking. You're not fucking leaving this house." And then the father gets involved, and when the kid, when Tyler finally like, "Fuck you, you're not my fucking real mom," and "Fuck you, motherfucker," to his dad, and pushes it, like that whole scene to me, my heart, I was on the edge. I mean, my heart was just pumping, racing.
Yeah.
I'm on the edge of my seat, and when I saw Tyler finally like be, like his dad has been fucking horrible to him, just horrible this whole fucking time, but with good intentions. I know his heart's in the right place, but he's so overbearing, and this kid fucking says, "Bring it,
Yeah, 'cause he
motherfucker, come
sees
step to
the-
me then.
he
Come
sees the
fucking fight me right
trajectory.
now," and he pushes him. I said, "Oh my God," like this movie, like I just was so enraptured in those characters in this scene, and I thought it was brilliant.
I thought the film is making a point about two different things. One is the daughter was kind of left to her own devices in the first half of the film. You know, that
Mhm.
the dad was focused mostly on Tyler, just
He
like
admits
you,
that.
the thing is,
Yeah,
he
the
does.
mom and the mom brings it out.
The thing is,
Mhm.
because of that,
Yes, she does.
she came out of this a relatively healthy person. And so that makes it a statement about not overly controlling your kids. Let them find agency and autonomy in some ways. And also, one thing I loved about this film, and this is something that just at the end is like really just really one of these, was it was set in Florida, an African American family, very wealthy, not well off, big mansion,
well off.
and it was never race was never ever an issue in this film.
Except at the abortion clinic.
Yeah.
She called
Yeah.
it
that was very,
Right.
very brief. And the thing is, they were talking about abortion, pro-abortion, anti-abortion people being assholes. Now you can't get around that.
There's also some racism in some of the comments on the photo of her and him.
Yeah, that's true. But then it didn't too much affect the trajectory of the plot.
Those look
But I
at
like that
Scott.
because maybe you know, come on, I want an America that's past all this shit. You know what I mean? I
Look
want
at-
Good luck on that. Scott.
Well,
There's
I
so
want-
many-
thinking what I
look
want.
at
Have you
the
met
moments,
America?
the moments behind.
Yeah,
Look at,
I'm down on America, Chris.
behind Scott, those moments where father son workout time or whatever
Mhm.
just had me on edge. Even those, like it was
Wow.
so because of their relationship was so.
I wanted a
Little
side
too-
story
little
about the
too tightly
coach.
wound. Little too tightly wound.
Yeah, it was so. It
Bill
was,
Wise. I love
Basically,
seeing Bill
Ernie
Wise and stuff.
Malley there.
I never knew if that father was going to praise him or condemn him.
Yeah.
Like at any given moment.
Well, neither did Tyler.
Yeah, that's
Right,
the thing.
right,
That's the problem.
And that's why those scenes like behind Scott, like the
Yeah,
workout
change
scenes
it.
were so, even those were so interesting to me because I'm like, is he going to call him like a little bitch and slap him and beat him up? Or is he going to say, good job, you fucking pressed 200 or, you know, I don't know. I didn't know.
Except that's the dynamic between males,
Well, you're the dad.
fathers and
part of
sons.
the-
You know what?
right?
You're the dad here, Jared. You must think about this stuff a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I've said more than once that I'm just waiting for the moment where my son tries to fight me in real life, and I will.
We're
fucking
all waiting
annihilate-
for that Oedipus.
And I
My father had.
I
to
will
be-
kick his fucking ass from here to fucking Thursday, dude.
yeah, I know. Just like what's his name did.
My
Oh wait, he pushed him.
My dad
I'll
had
arm
a
wrestle him.
ter-
I'll arm wrestle him on the table just like this.
Yeah,
No, my dad had an abusive father. In fact, when he didn't mow the lawn one day, he came home. My dad's dad decked him, just knocked him out cold. And my dad was somebody said he was waiting to get bigger than him so he could beat the crap out of his father, and he died. And this is back in the 50s, right? But it's so you know this dynamic.
Okay,
father
I'm
and son
joking.
thing.
I'm joking. Listen, I'm not
Uh-huh.
abusive,
Uh-huh.
but I do think that. I mean, I didn't. The weird thing about my case is I didn't have a dad growing up. So this is not only my first rodeo being a father, but I didn't have a father. So I have no idea what to expect. But I just do know that when I was like 17, I had one brief like rebel streak, you know, that we all sort of do. And I just don't know what my son's
I'm
is
still
going to be
waiting
like.
for that.
Oh, he'll mess you. Don't worry, he's gonna mess you up good. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Have we had a Jim's Corner yet?
We have not. Did you finish it, Jim?
He didn't like this picture, I think.
I found it to be not. Oh, how do I say this?
Not your taste.
No, it was to my taste, but it was just that there was nothing new in it. There were no new insights, at least in the 3/4 of the film I saw. I didn't catch the last part of it, but
Oh, that's the best
definitely
part.
all the
That's
stuff.
sad.
All the stuff with the guy and his dad, it was just like, okay, yeah, I don't care if you're, you know, I actually was sort of into wrestling at one point in high school
Wow.
and got into the whole homoeroticism of it, I think. But,
Bold admission.
and it is, you're like sweating on top of each other and like moving.
That does come up in this film.
It does.
Uh,
There's definitely something there, but you know, it's just like I didn't see anything new. It kind of reminded me of not to bring up the Oscars, but Chris Rock's Everybody Hates Chris TV
Okay.
series. You know,
Oh yeah, I can dig it.
it was the same sort of dynamic between the father and the son. You know, except the son does try and.
I never saw that show, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's. I liked it and I didn't like it at the same time.
I think that's Tad's camp. Yeah, Tad.
My overall take on this movie is positive because I like the second half of it so much.
Yeah. Okay. So I didn't finish. I'll finish the second half.
And Tad's not. If you look up the reviews, a lot of critics feel similarly.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
But I don't. I think Chris and I are in the same camp where just this whole thing was.
This movie was trying to deal with the hand that they were dealt.
Yeah.
In the way, and most of the folks in this movie got dealt a bad hand in one way or another, and they're just trying to fucking deal and make it work.
Yeah.
And I also, and this is one of those movies that
did try and make it work. Though.
Well, we all
That's
know
the part
about.
I didn't like.
Like if you speak about equity,
It seems like their problems could have been solved, Jim, and they didn't.
Yeah,
how would you solve this? How would you solve Tyler's problems? He was fucked.
How about
he had shitty reactions to the things that happened to him.
He's a teenager. Putting him in prison.
He's a teenager.
Well,
Do you remember that scene where?
Hold
remember
on,
that scene where? So Tyler obviously does data entry for his father's law firm that his mother manages.
Yeah.
And there's that scene where he's entering shit in the computer and the dad comes in and they have this little discussion.
Yeah.
And I remember, that, I mean, we've all been, again, like Jim is right. Like there's nothing like, and I said this from the start, story wise, there's not a lot new here. It's just, I think it's the way it's executed is what's special. And, but I remember thinking about the father's words, and we've all, I mean, this is even more relevant now than at least in sort of the zeitgeist of our culture, where he's talking about, he doesn't say it, but he's talking about being black in America. He doesn't say it explicitly, but he says, we have to work 10 times fucking harder.
Oh yeah.
Right.
We have to fucking, he's like, I know I'm hard on you. I don't want to be, I have to be.
Yeah.
Right.
And I love, and when Tyler is almost in tears, right? Looking at him. I mean, this acting is spectacular. And he says, we have to, he's like, whatever we do, we have to do it more. Like whatever we do, we have to do it again. Right. Whatever we do, we have to do it better because that is our existence. And that hit me so hard in this picture.
Right.
Explicitly.
That's the one point.
The problem I have is the kid came from a place of privilege.
For sure.
And like,
but you get the notion that the father maybe did not.
Yeah.
No, because he's again he's.
Well,
but no, I'm going with what Jared.
I realize he's like supposed to be an 18-year-old, and yes.
No, but the other thing, I've been around a lot of families where the parents overemphasize sports when it comes to.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, especially if they're kind of stupid.
Well. But
it's a real thing.
It's a real thing. I've seen it. I've seen the byproduct of this on many people I know, where it's like they overemphasize sports. The kids grow up thinking they're going to be some kind of sports hero, and that's just really not the way the world works 99% of the time. This kid was clearly like physical, being a physical person, being an athlete, was clearly pushed hard by dad, and so when he injures himself, I mean, that's basically cutting him to his fucking foundation, right?
Now, mind you, did you see Friday Night Lights?
So much so that he doesn't tell them.
Yeah, well, Friday Night Lights. So, the Bobby Miles subplot in Friday Night Lights, the same thing. He injured himself. He's had all these offers from universities, and it all went away. And so, people tie themselves too much into athletic competition.
I'm not using that as an excuse to defend Tyler's behavior, but I could totally understand at the point of the movie where, that's going to like fuck you where you live and cause you to react poorly.
Yes.
And so like you get
you're
that.
Like, and
you're letting everybody, he's letting everybody down. His family, the school, everybody.
Well, how about when I mean, again, too, to go back to, so it's after that one match where his shoulder finally gives and he's in the locker room and they have him all taped up and his mom is doting over him and he looks at the lockers and his dad is just standing there with an arm up, just shaking his fucking head. Like, that moment, I almost cried in that moment because Tyler's looking at his father.
Yeah.
And he knows, I disappointed you.
Not good.
Disappointed you. And that fucking punched me in the gut.
Oh, yeah. It's good stuff.
Like I said, it's not an excuse for his behavior, but it helped me understand a little bit.
Yeah. Well.
Anyway, I love this movie. I thought that was great.
All right. Well,
look at behind Chris. Just the bicycling. This movie is so beautifully.
I love the note that they ended on.
Yeah.
For her.
And it was so nice. And the thing is, it's almost like she was jettisoning her entire family. This is going to be my life now, me and Luke, and moving forward, and the sunlight and nature. And it was just like, sometimes maybe it is good to eject your entire family, to get rid of them. Maybe it is.
That's a long time because he knows she's been through hell and back, and she saw him go through hell with his father. Like, I think, you know what I mean? Like,
I know, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, well, I gotta stop. Let's do the thumbs there at this point. I think we're done. Very strong. Oh, in the middle. And again, I'm right back to the fact that the aspect ratio did such a great job in this film. Yay! Aspect ratio. R-A-R.
Well, I didn't.
Loved it.
Scott.
I was so happy watching this movie.